I'm gonna go ahead and paint this cart. I'm not gonna show you every single step along the way. Like, I'm not gonna show you how to disassemble the cart because there's a lot of videos on that. This is a Yamaha G29. It's a pretty common cart out there. But I'm gonna show you some tricks that I do along the way when I take stuff apart, and I'm gonna show you my paint process and give you some links to another video that I used. If you get some value out of this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want, and let's go ahead and get started.
All right, so here I am just doing a time lapse of me taking the cart apart. And as I mentioned, there are a bunch of videos on YouTube that actually show exactly how to take the cart apart. But just in general, you want to take everything off, and organize it in a way that you'll know how to put it back on. And in a second here, I'm going to show you, if you use a heat gun, you can take off these decals pretty easily. So I pulled off all these decals with a heat gun, and then I just went ahead and took everything else off. And that's about all there is to taking the cart apart.
All right, time for a couple tips. First, there's a lot of clips on this cart, and you're gonna want one of these tools. It's a clip puller. I'll put a link in the description below for that. You're gonna want one of these. And I don't remember whose video told me this, but it was another video on YouTube I saw, and they said if you're having trouble with those push pins, hit them with a tiny bit of WD-40. And I tried it today, and it works really well. It just kind of lubricates the clips and makes them slide back out because they're dirty and dusty and muddy, and it worked really good. So between these two tools, it really helped. I recommend you get one of these clip tools. Second, let's talk about organization. It seems like you're gonna remember where stuff goes when you put your cart back together, but I'm telling you, at least me, I forget where stuff goes. So I document along the way, and I'll show you how I do that. Just really, really organized way so that you can put your cart back together. So when possible, I leave the screws in, kind of like that, where they're going to go. Or on something like the windshield, I just leave the screws in place. I put them back in so that, you just remember where they go. And on stuff that you can't leave them in place, I really recommend this style. You just tape the screws or the push pins that came from each part to the parts. And then it's just really easy when you grab this part, it's got all the clips with it, or the screws. Same thing with the headlights, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I keep track of where my stuff goes. And then last, things that don't fit, I just have a table and I keep everything labeled in buckets. The seat back, the roof, the floor mats, etc. And it's just, let you remember where they go. And then I've got a list here of just things that either are broken or need replaced. And so this over here is just my baggies with where they go and what I need to buy. So that's the stuff I'm gonna buy. Another tip is while you've got the cart apart, get in here and detail this. So I'm gonna get all the panels sanded and ready for paint. And then while they're either sitting with primer or drying, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna clean all this up. There's just no way you're gonna get to be able to detail a cart like this unless it's apart. And so yes, it's gonna get dirty again, but anyway, it'll be super nice and clean when you put all your painted panels back on. It'll just give you a little bit of, just really give that cart a nice look for a while. So anyway, recommendation, do that.
Here I'm just washing the parts with soap and water. I missed the camera angle, so you can't quite see it, but I just washed them with soap and water and then wiped them down with a microfiber cloth, got them ready for painting and sanding and that kind of stuff. And here I'm just looking at a couple of the other pieces, taking a couple of the decals off, that kind of stuff, getting it ready. And then the last part here, I told you I was going to detail the car while it's apart, and my son's going to be a little goofball on the camera here. But I went ahead and cleaned up, all the dust and the dirt and all that stuff from the frame and the battery area, made the car look really good.
All right, let's get this part ready for paint. And for what you're going to need to do is get yourself some 600 grit wet dry sandpaper. And I recommend a tub of water. Get your sandpaper wet, a couple rags, and a spray bottle. And we are going to wet sand this clear coat off. So this is nice and smooth and shiny, and we want it nice and dull paint. So, the really there's nothing to it, just you're gonna spray it, sand it. Get you some light. So we'll just start over here. And you kind of notice like the sandpaper just kind of slides on it, right? Because of this clear coat. And then as you start to, you'll actually hear it and you'll see it. This like chalky, milky stuff coming up. That's what you want. And the longer you work at it, the more you'll get it off. Just keep everything super lubricated and just keep sanding. And you'll almost have where it stops making this like noise. It changes to like a smooth noise. I don't know, you'll get the feel for it as you start doing it, but you'll be able to tell kind of when you're done. This piece is kind of a pain because it's small. You know, the big surfaces are really easy to do, but the little surfaces like over here are kind of hard, so I'm starting with these on purpose. Get the hardened parts out. In general, you want to sand in circles. It just makes it a little easier for your paint to fill in these holes. If you do a lot of this side to side, you'll just kind of cause hard to remove marks in your body work. So try to do circles as much as you can. Some spots you won't be able to do circles. And then, you know, at some point, you'll want to give it a nice dry off. And when it dries, you're going to be able to see where you've been successful and where you haven't. So, you know, you can see this nice dull spot here, and then there's this shiny part right by this ridge. This is still really shiny. This is nice and dull. So, you know, this looks good. This does not look good, etc. So you just want to kind of keep working the panel like that. And this is a hard part of the job. Preparing to paint is way harder than painting. Any painter will tell you that. The prep work's the hard part. So anyway, just keep going at it, and sooner or later you will have success. So that's what I'm gonna do.
These spots here are a little bit difficult, you know, when you're getting down into these grooves like this. There's nothing you can really do but just work the sandpaper. You want to try to go into circles if you can, but sometimes you just have to go back and forth, especially on these little tiny edges like this. So just keep working the sandpaper, and sooner or later you will get that dull look that you're looking for.
You can kind of tell when it starts biting into that clear coat. It gets a little, changes the sound of the sandpaper a little, changes the feel. You can just really tell when you're actually sanding that clear coat versus just sliding on top of it. And you're gonna see this nice chalky stuff coming up like this. That's what you want.
These larger parts on the panels are a little bit easier to sand because you've got a lot more room to work in circles and sand back and forth. So they're a little bit more enjoyable than those little tiny nooks and crannies. And then remember just to dry it off every once in a while and take a look at it, and you'll see the nice dull spots that you've got and the little parts that are still shiny that you need to work at more.
All right, this video has been going for an hour, so I've been sanding this for about an hour, and I have just about gotten everything. So that just gives you an idea about how long it might take. This part's not that big. Take me about an hour, probably an hour and a half total by the time I'm done. You can see there's just a couple spots here that are still shiny in this crack right here, right around this light. But maybe just a tiny bit right here. It almost, like I said, it kind of looks like orange peel. All right, you'll see it. And that's what needs to be sanded just a little bit more.
But overall, this panel looks pretty good. So we'll hit those couple spots and then we'll be done. I'm being pretty careful on this part too, because this is the hood. You know, it's like the front of the carts. It's what everybody's gonna see when they walk up. So I'm just being extra careful, make it look nice. In just a second here, after this clip of the video, you're going to see I'm going to get out a fan, just a normal, like a desk fan, and plug it in. And what that does is it helps to move air. You can see it dries the panel really quick right there. And it just makes it a little bit easier when you're towards the end here and you want to be able to dry it off and see your dull spots faster. You know, you sand just a little bit and then let the fan, you know, wipe it off and let the fan blow on it for just a second. It'll dry it off really quick. And it just makes it a lot easier to find your dull spots. You know, when you're working. And here I'm just working the insides of the headlight areas. These are really hard. They kind of rip up the sandpaper too, so they're not enjoyable. Not this section here, but just that little part where I'm kind of working in the headlights and whatnot. Those are the really tough spots that you just got to do them and get them done.
That's it. Took me an hour and 17 minutes to get this piece ready. Ready for some paint.
All right, this is the second piece, and this one's a monster. This is a really big piece, and it, you know, it uses up a lot of sandpaper and a lot of time. I don't remember how long this one took, probably like 2 or 3 hours. But, you know, it's the most important part. As I mentioned, you got to prep the stuff, and you got to get all the shiny stuff off so that paint sticks. And, you know, I'm just working in all the little grooves and nooks and crannies and whatnot, and just getting this piece finished up. And then, you know, once this one's done, I'll be ready for paint. All right, here's what you need to paint your car. You're going to wipe it completely down with prep spray and get everything nice and clean. And then you're going to take a tack cloth, which I don't have one here. You're going to tack cloth the whole thing, get all the dust off of it. You're going to put 2 or 3, up to you, super nice coats of primer on it. This is scratch filling primer. It's going to fill in kind of the blemishes and it's going to come out really good. Then you're gonna very lightly wet sand with 1000 grit sandpaper. You just wanna barely take off the the orange peel look of the primer. Spray away, clean it, super good, get it nice and clean. And then tack cloth it again. Then you wanna get your base color on it. This is just a duplicate color you can get from AutoZone. And get 3 coats of your base on it. Then it's optional. You can wet sand it one more time if you want before you clear coat it. You don't have to. But anyways, that's where you're gonna be. And this is the magic trick here. This is SprayMax 2K primer. This is a special primer. You pop this button, and it's a 2-part, almost like an epoxy sort of type of thing. This is kind of what they would use in a professional shop. Only they would use it in a real gun. A 2K primer. From what I understand, this makes it come out really good. So that's how that's the process you kind of go through to paint these parts. Now I have a confession to make. It has been nothing but terrible weather. It's 2023. It has been cold and rainy literally every single day and every single weekend that I have open. So I had someone paint my car. I prepped the parts, I sanded them down, I wet sanded them, I taped off all the stuff. I had them ready to go and I could not find a break in the weather. So I called around, I found a local guy in my area that actually does like a body shop out of his house, and he agreed to paint them. And yeah, I'm not mad. Check this out. Oh, they came out awesome. They just look really good. He mixed up some paint for me with some paints that he had left, a couple Honda colors that he had, and it's almost like a slate gray. So I know it's kind of annoying. This is a paint your cart yourself video, and you totally could. And I did all the hard work. I showed you the hard work. Preparing the surface is the hardest work. But anyway, I'm not gonna paint it myself, I'm sorry. But I will do a time lapse of me putting it back together and I'll show you the final result. But all the hard work is getting the parts off the cart, getting the parts prepared for paint. The painting part is actually easy.
easy, probably the easiest if you have the decent weather to do it. So don't be discouraged. You can do this job. I'll show you when we put this back together, and yeah, you'll see what it looks like. But sorry, I'm not going to paint the car.
This last part, I'm putting the cart back together, and I did actually buy a rear seat for this cart. I did put new springs on the rear. I didn't get a video of that, but I did put new springs on for this new rear seat just because of the extra weight that you've got back there when you got people sitting. So I put on the heavy duty springs, and then I got my wife out here helping, checking out the new seat. But yeah, other than that, everything came out great. The seat went on pretty easily. And then this is the before shot, and then in just a second I'll show you the after shot. It came out really, really good, and I loved it. Hope this helped you out, and thanks for watching.